Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, I got a fun and exciting video for you guys today because I'm doing an update on Battleship, the Super Smash Bros. PC port based upon the N64 Super Smash Bros. Decomp. Because when I did the initial video, it was definitely still like day one on its release, and since then it's got a ton of updates. Netcode is being worked on, and it is going to be a more stable, prettier looking version of Super Smash Bros. On PC than I initially featured. And I would say in the initial video, 9 out of 10 people were perfectly fine with the way it was made. 1 out of 10 people didn't like it whatsoever, and about 50% of those 1 out of 10 absolutely just blame me for it. Again, don't forget, don't kill the messenger on this one. I'm just giving you guys the news, and you can decide what you want to do with that. But honestly, the updates here are coming in fast and furious, and now everything that was an issue on day 0 basically has been ironed out. You can play the game from start to finish. There isn't any crashing anymore. A lot of the controls have been adjusted, as well as the graphics, including some new graphical settings to get you to a higher internal rendering resolution. So this really is a much better build, and honestly, if it keeps progressing like this, I think it's going to be useful for a lot of people. Before you get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But obviously lately, N64 decomps, recomps, and PC ports have been all the rage, and it really isn't surprising that Smash Bros. Definitely excited a lot of people. A lot of different news sites wrote articles based upon the video that I had published, as well as the repo on GitHub. It was fun to see all that information travel around so you could basically see how the community in general was taking it. And I will say, even though Super Smash Bros. Isn't my favorite game, Melee definitely is my #1 Smash. It's still a fun time, and it is still a game that I spent a lot of time with back in the day. But if you're wondering, no, I am no longer a Smash Brothers expert. Maybe back in like 99, 2000, I would have been good at this game, but right now, not the greatest. Now you'll see here there is another developer working on netcode in conjunction with the Battleship repo, so that in the future you're going to be able to actually get some matchmaking services going. And I think that will be fun for a lot of people, because I know that is one of the #1 most requested things when it comes to Super Smash Bros. PC ports. It's fun to be able to play against the CPU, and of course if you have friends at your house, it's fun to play against them as well. But let's be real, we've all gotten older, we don't have that much time to have friends come over to play a game. So if we have 45 minutes to play Smash and you want to play it against somebody, it would be a lot of fun to be able to go online and do that. So that's exactly what is being worked on right now, netcode, so that you can actually get online matches in the Smash Bros. PC port. It is going to take some time, and of course the minute it does roll out fully, I'm sure there will still be some bug fixing that needs to be done, because the reality is every single recomp and PC port day 1, whether it's a new feature or whether it's the rollout of the game in and of itself, always has some bugs and issues that need to be ironed out. That was something I noticed on the initial video. People said that there were bugs, and don't be surprised by that. Every single project, no matter how it is made, is going to always have a few issues at the start. Now going back into the gameplay capture, I got off the most recent build of Battleship. I'm running this at 200% internal rendering resolution, as well as 4x MSAA, and I will say it definitely is a prettier version of the game than when I initially talked about this release. And I know a lot of you guys have been asking whether or not Smash Remix would work with inside of this. Anything is possible. Of course, it's going to take some time, and it's going to take developers wanting to actually bring it over, because one of those things I would say Smash Remix definitely the better version of Super Smash Bros. Than even the original game, but that again is not going to be currently working in Battleship. This is targeting the decompilation project for the base game of Smash Brothers, and obviously Remix is a massive ROM hack, but because it is based upon the bones of Smash Brothers, it is something that can be done, so hopefully that's something we do see in the future. And as of right now, the GitHub link, there's going to be a lot of different updates. Just go ahead and grab the one closest to the top. That will give you all of the different changes that we're talking about here. But there's been a ton of fixes on the overall crashing situation, because a couple of people mentioned in the comments that they got a crash on Master Hand. Now that's going to be completely fixed up. I didn't get this thing to crash once in my gameplay sessions, and that definitely is going to be a lot better, because you don't want the game to crash when you're trying to play it. You'll also see here there's a lot of other updates on a lot of the other underlying architecture and how this port actually works, including some of the sound as well, which leads us into our first soundtrack sample. Go ahead and listen for 45 seconds or so, but come back and I'll tell you about new changes.
3, 2, 1, go!
Now, in my initial video, I said that a few of the sound effects sounded like they were coming in a little bit hot. And what I mean hot is just too high in volume, maybe even getting close to clipping out the channels. I don't have any of that here in the current captures. It's one of those things. I always say I have two tin ears and my sound detection is not very good whatsoever. But in my opinion, everything now sounds pretty accurate to what it needs to be. But you can leave me a comment down below and tell me what you think. And again, on some of the netcode updates, basically going through different variants to see how well they actually stabilize and sync to each other, because that really is the thing with netcode. You want to make sure that you're getting a good match, not just a match. Now, of course, stuff like ping rate and geographic location is always going to make a difference. If you're sitting in Chicago where I am right now and you're trying to play somebody in Japan and your ping rate isn't great, then you're just not going to have a good time. And there's no real netcode in the world that can fix a slow internet connection. But if you do have a good ping rate, if you do have good netcode, then you're going to be able to play Smash Brothers against anybody basically anywhere and have a good match out of it. Will you win? Will you lose? That is to be determined, but it seems like the netcode is being developed in a way that your wins or losses will be based upon your overall talent and not some sort of lagginess in the code. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see how that resolves itself. But all of these updates have been fundamentally improving the Super Smash Bros. PC port, and I do like to see that the developer is still working on this, even if they are working in it in a methodology that not many other people do. But again, it is an experiment, it is a thing that is 100% for free, and it doesn't mean that there might not be another Super Smash Bros. PC port in the future, because we've seen that with a bunch of the different N64 decompilation projects. We have multiple versions of stuff like Super Mario 64, and at this point in time, I feel like that game has like 3 or maybe even 4 active PC ports. So other teams could definitely take on the decompiled code and see what they could do with a Smash Bros. PC port as well. And dropping back to some of the earlier updates, this was 3 days ago as of the actual capture of this video. It's one of those things, I basically capture this and maybe take a day to actually edit it and voice it over. This is about all of the different netplay code, as well as a bunch of changes to the control and input, making it even a more responsive and quote-unquote easier way to play the game. And that really is fun. It's going to come with complete controller rebindings as well, so you can kind of adjust however you want your buttons bound. And if you hit the escape key when you're actually playing, you can see here in gameplay you can put on hitboxes so you understand exactly what you're hitting. So if you do want to practice against the CPU or even another player, you can do that. And if we go over to the graphics option tab right here, you're going to see we're dialed up the internal rendering resolution all the way to 200%, and you can adjust the anti-aliasing however you want. You can also just leave it bone stock to get the closest approximation to what Super Smash Bros. Would look like on N64. But of course, you're getting a hell of a lot better frame rate here, and no one complains when they get better frame rates out of N64. Although Smash Bros. Really didn't have the worst frame rate in the world, more frames are always going to be better. There's a ton of other options you can play around with, so definitely make sure you do. But let's go into the second soundtrack sample so you can listen to some more potentially hot sound effects or whether or not they've been fixed up. I'll be right back with just a little bit more Smash Bros. Info for you.
3, 2, 1, go!
So at least in my opinion, the audio is definitely much improved since the last time I took a look at this, because the sound effects now sound pretty regulated to what they would sound like on real N64 hardware, and that in and of itself is a difficult thing to even approximate, because of course by default the N64 is an analog system, so depending on how good your audio cables are, depending on what CRT you plugged it into back in the day, what Smash Brothers sounds like to you might be slightly different than what it sounds like to another person, and that really is the difficult thing of going from analog to digital. But honestly, the project is progressing quite nicely, and I think a lot of people are enjoying it. Now of course a couple of you definitely won't be enjoying it, but just remember, let people have the fun they want to have with something. If it's not for you, that's fine, but the idea that it should not be for anybody and it shouldn't be allowed, I just don't understand that one. And for the few people that don't like the fact that I just give you the information and let you decide for yourselves, I will tell you right now, I am never going to tell you what to think on this channel. I provide you information and I tell you whatever it is you decide to think is perfectly fine with me. It's just one of those things. I like to bring you guys the current information, the current news, and then you can decide what to do with it. And to the one person that decided to email me like 3 paragraphs saying that they were going to find me in Chicago and pay me a visit, I am waiting. Go ahead and show up with your Mal Ninja sword, and we'll just see how that goes. All jokes aside, you know the news, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.